Financial Pickle here. This is part 2 of my previous video where I'll be going over the details of the spreadsheet I made. If you haven't seen part 1, I would highly recommend it. The link is in the description. As I explained before, cash secured puts and covered calls are almost identical trades, but one is often a little bit better than the other depending on the variables I previously discussed, which means the wheel is not an optimal strategy. The spreadsheet does all the calculations for you and tells you which trade will be more profitable in your specific situation. All you have to do is enter the variables highlighted in gray. All the boxes are pretty self-explanatory, but there are a few that I'll talk about towards the end of the video. The example I have up now is actually the Adobe example I used in the first video. Here you have the cash difference, the number of years left, the interest on the cash difference, the annual yield on your cash difference with compounding, and the interest rate the options are pricing in. And here we have the total gains on each trade excluding any market movement, which includes the time value, the interest on the cash difference, and dividends. And the section below that will tell you which trade is superior to the other. In this example, the covered call is superior by about 5 cents a share, but that can be attributed to the bid-ask spread on the options. And we know that because we're earning the risk-free rate and there's no hard-to-borrow fee, which means both trades should be equal. And 5 cents on a $530 stock is basically nothing anyway. But if we lower the interest rate we earn on our cash, then the difference becomes much larger. So in this situation, instead of doing a cash secured put and earning 2% on your cash, you would earn about $1.22 more per share by doing a covered call at the same strike. And in the section below that, it says early assignment is not likely for the put or the call, and that section assumes very little or no stock movement throughout the life of the option. If you want to check your early assignment chances later after you already opened a position, simply enter the new values in the gray boxes anytime. And here's an example on Beyond Meat where the cash secured puts are superior to the covered calls. At the time, it had a hard to borrow fee of 26.5%. Because of that, the cash secured puts have a very high return compared to the covered calls. The difference is actually so large that you could earn nothing on the cash difference and still outperform the covered call. So if you sell a put and get assigned, then you would be much better off selling the shares and doing another cash secured put versus doing a covered call. And now we'll look at a couple of examples where early assignment is likely to happen. The first one is on SLB, which had a 25-cent dividend coming up the next day. The spreadsheet says the covered call is superior by about 16 cents, but the early assignment section says the covered call is likely to get assigned very soon. If that happens, then you won't get the dividend, which means you're not making 16 cents more on the covered call. The next example is also on SLB, and if you'll notice, there is no hard to borrow fee, but the cash secured put is still somehow earning about $1.03 more than the covered call. This is because the put is deep in the money and the options market is pricing in an early assignment at some point, which is reflected in the early assignment section. This means you won't collect the interest on the cash difference for the whole duration of the option, because at some point you'll be forced to buy the shares. So realistically, the returns on the two trades would be about the same, assuming you're earning the risk-free rate on your cash and assuming the stock doesn't move much. You should also think about taxes before taking action based on what the spreadsheet says. If you plan on selling a covered call on a stock you have a large gain on, but the spreadsheet says a cash secured put would be more profitable, then you should take the capital gains into consideration before selling the shares and selling the cash secured put. And also, wash sales might be something else to consider. And this next point pretty much only matters if you plan on getting out of your trade before expiration, and it really only makes a difference on longer term options. But like I said in the first video, if interest rates go up, then calls go up and puts go down. If you're already in a trade when this happens, then that would be slightly unfavorable to covered calls and slightly favorable to cash secured puts, and vice versa if interest rates went down. And that's in reference to the risk-free rate based on the remaining duration of your options. And here's some more details on some of the sections with the gray boxes. You probably noticed, but 3 of them have a lighter color than the rest. Those are only relevant to the early assignment section. So if you're not concerned about that section, then don't worry about putting anything in those 3 boxes. In the rate you will earn on cash section, you have a section for no compounding, monthly compounding, and semi-annual compounding. The box you need to fill out will depend on how often you would get paid interest on your cash that will be held aside to secure your put. For example, If you plan on buying a zero coupon treasury with a yield to maturity of 5.4%, you would put 5.4% in the no compound section. Or if you plan on buying a money market fund with a 5% yield, you would put 5% in the monthly compound section. And the rates on certain things like money market funds can change, but the spreadsheet assumes you'll be earning the rate you enter for the entire duration. So if you believe your interest rate will change, then you'll need to adjust your entry to what you believe will be the average rate you'll earn during your trade. And if you're doing a naked put where you won't have cash to invest, then it's already priced in that you'll be earning the risk-free rate. I believe the best way to handle that for the spreadsheet is to put the risk-free rate in the semi-annual compound section, because that's how often long-term treasuries pay interest. The dividend sections might be a little bit difficult if you're trading ETFs because their dividends generally fluctuate, so you'll just need to make your best guess based on what they paid in the past. And just like the rate you will earn on cash section, the hard to borrow fee section also assumes what you enter there will be the average for the entire duration of the trade. For the number of days left on options section, option chains will normally just count the number of days left from now until the expiration date. And that number is totally fine to use, but it won't be exact. The exact way to figure it out will be based on settlement dates, which can be different by a couple of days depending on holidays and weekends. But it would make the spreadsheet far more complicated, so I decided to leave it out. Thanks for watching, everyone. That's it for this video. If it helped you out, please give me a like and subscribe. I know it might be a lot of information to digest, so if you have any feedback or questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, stay out of that pickle jar.